Hey everyone, Richard Metalfan here, and today we talk Master of Puppets, released on March 3rd, 1986. Now, what to say about this album that hasn't been said like a million times in every review on YouTube? I honestly think this is a really great album. Like, this is basically Metallica in their prime, their opus. Like, a lot of people consider it to be their opus and like their best thing they've ever done. Some people, or a lot of people I should say, consider this to be a great album. I'm gonna have to agree. When I first heard this, I was like, all the way through, I was like, wow, this is really great. And this is just like kind of like the introduction to Metallica for me when I was a young guy. I mean, everything about this is good. I honestly think this is better than Ride the Lightning in terms of like the production and like the musicianship, like the songwriting, and like overall structures of the song are just particular. Like all these songs are pretty long, but actually are really good. But yeah, let's just further ado, let's just dive into this track by track. Now the album opens up with Battery, which is kind of similar to Fight Fire with Fire from Ride the Lightning. And it starts off with some classical acoustic guitars, and then after a while the electric guitars kind of like kick in, and then it just goes out into an all-out thrash frenzy, and it just kicks your ass all the way through, and I just like it. It's a great way to start this album. So kind of like Fight Fire with Fire 2.0, just better. And then then we go into Master of Puppets, the title track, pretty much the longest song on here. It's 8.5 minutes long, and one of Metallica's well-known songs. Basically, they played the song ever since they started recording it, and been in their set list for 30 years, like played in every show. And lyrically, I feel like the song talks about drugs and alcohol, and around that time Metallica kind of gained the nickname Alcoholica. And I love this song. I think this is pretty much, in my opinion, one of the best songs on the album. It's tied between that and the instrumental Orion, which I'll get into that in just a moment. Overall, Master of Puppets title track, really good song. And then we go into The Thing That Should Not Be, which it kind of starts off a really slow, and it's just a very mid-paced song. And yeah, well, what could I say about that song? Then the album kind of slows down a little bit with the song Welcome Home Sanitarium, which is kind of like a little bit of a ballad, similar to Fade to Black. It has kind of like, the verses are kind of like very dark and eerie, especially in like that guitar tone in the beginning. It's just eerie, kind of has like that kind of vibe to it. But it's overall, it's a good song, especially like how it gets fast and thrashy near like the last half of the song. It's good. And then we get to Disposable Heroes, which in my opinion I think is one of the most underrated songs on this album. I feel like nobody hardly ever talks about that song. It just has chucked with some really good riffs and some good lyrics, like especially like Back to the Front. It's just really catchy, and I just wish a lot of people would talk more about this song, and I wish this band would play this song live a little bit more. And another underrated song on this album, Leper Messiah, which kind of starts off with Lars Ulrich. You can hear him say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes into it. Just a very mid-paced song. And then we get to, well, same thing with Master of Puppets. In my opinion, I consider this the best song on the album, Orion, which is an over 8-minute instrumental. And this basically showcases the really great musicianship, and it showcases like Cliff Burton's talent. I mean, this is kind of like, in my opinion, Cliff Burton's like swan song. Since sadly this was Cliff Burton's last album with the band before he was killed in the same year that this album was released. But we'll get into that later. And like the bass playing that Cliff does on this song is just really spot on and phenomenal. Like that little bass, like he does that. When I first heard this when I was younger, I honestly thought that was like an electric guitar, but then I later found out it was like bass plugged in with like a wah pedal with distortion. Really good song. And the song just like goes through like different time changes and stuff, and then it's sort of like how it like the music kind of like dies down a little bit, and then Cliff plays like a quiet melodic bass line, and then James and Kirk join in, and like James plays like a solo in there. I think he plays I'm kind of cheating. Yeah, he does the second solo, and then like Cliff does a bass solo too. It's just a really great song. I honestly think they should play the song live a lot more. The only thing I hate is that they never played the song live when Cliff was alive. I just think that was just a little bummer. But overall, it's a good song. And then the album closes with Damage Incorporated, which kind of starts off a little bit weird, and then it just goes into an all fresh out frenzy. Kind of like ends the album on a high note, ends it all with like a grand finale with a bang. Now, overall, Master of Puppets, really great album. One of the most important albums of heavy metal history, and one of the best thrash metal albums of all time. If I were to give this album a score, and I guess some of you probably guessed it already, I'd give this a solid 10 out of 10. It's like that perfect. Like everything, there's nothing, not a bad thing I could say about this album. Yeah, I'm sorry, wow, this album's good. Good, I still think it is still to this day. So yeah, that's my review of Master of Puppets, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next review, and keep it metal.